Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 1 of my podcast. Joining me in this epic adventure is PhD Nacho Supreme Dr. Penguin. How you doing, mate?
Oh, not too bad, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, good. Now, before we actually dive into absolutely anything, just before we even glimpse at the topics as part of this discussion, it says on your Destiny that you were playing Destiny 2. Oh, it says on your Discord that you were playing Destiny 2 for 10 hours.
Sounds about right.
You legit were playing 10 hours today?
Probably about 8.5 of those hours.
Oh, that's commitment. that is solid commitment right there.
Hey, it's that Sigma grind set, you know?
Yeah, that's 100% what that sounds like to me. That's what went through my head when I saw that. I was like, that is alpha male. That is pure dominance right there.
Exactly. You know what? Let's actually just get into the specifics here. All right. In total, I've got about 2014 hours in this game.
2014. You know it's 2023, right? You've got to just get a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then stop.
Yeah.
Till the next year. You can just add an extra hour.
No.
Well, coming up in this very first episode of the podcast, we're going to kind of go over a little bit of an introduction of ourselves. So why don't you start first? Like, where would you say you stand politically?
Where do I stand politically? That's a hard
it is
sort of question to ask.
It is tough.
I can't say I'm overly left or right leaning myself. I don't know. It's tough. I think for the most part, no matter what really goes down in terms of yeah, I don't know. It's hard to explain. So I would say I'm probably a bit more right leaning. I think freedoms such as speech and right to bear arms and things like that, I would say I agree with all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'd say the bit where I'd say I'm not so right leaning is I'm all for the equal rights and equal treatment of everyone. Obviously, don't jam it down my throat. That's probably...
That seems to be what we get now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's
you probably say you'd stand right in the middle.
Yes, I would definitely say that.
I'd probably say that's where I stand as well. I don't particularly agree with a lot of the views from either side in their extremes, which to me that seems to be where the world's kind of heading now. It's all extremist, you know, like I guess if you look at topics like, say, abortions, now there are heated debates on either side, and I get the whole my body, my choice, but it's kind of like, okay, we will accept that it's your body, your choice. However, try to just put a bit of thought into, you know, your actions. Like, how hard is it to, you know, wear a condom?
Yeah, exactly.
How hard is it to just prevent it from in the first place?
Yeah.
Rather than turning around and going, no, I have every right to have to go through the process of creating life and then terminating. And you're like, yeah, kind of, you do. You technically do. Yeah. But why?
I think there's a fine line as well, like between it, because you got victims of abuse and stuff like that, where
of course
the option should be there for people like that, but it shouldn't be a scapegoat, you know, for someone who was being a bit too careless. It's not like, hey, we just got drunk one night and didn't use protection, then now we're just going down to the clinic. Like, I think that's a bit too far.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. I think there should be a lot more medical intervention when it comes down to it.
Agreed.
So, and discussing the circumstances in which it happened.
Yes.
So
so it's obviously Obviously, for things that, like you were just saying, things that were outside of control.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas people, I guess, even if they did have control, they still kind of have the ability. But that could be a discussion for a different podcast. That was more of just an example than anything else. The bulk.
The bulk does kind of put on the spot there.
Well, I mean, that's the whole idea. It is try and catch each other out with certain things and just stimulate, not necessarily like a battle, but a healthy debate, because I find we see less and less of that now, of healthy not tit for tat as such, but that healthy back and forth of going, well, I have this view, and they go, well, I see your views and I agree with them to a certain extent, however I also have this view, and blah 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 blah. Now it just seems to be screaming at each other like, this is my view and everyone else is wrong. And you're like, well, in certain circumstances, you are correct. Some people's views are 100% correct. However, there is what we call tolerance of the ignorant and the stupid. And to a certain extent, you just kind of have to let them, like, I guess, like fat. Yes, it's not healthy to be fat. We are all very much aware of that fact. Well, I say we. The vast majority of people know that being fat isn't good for you.
Yes. Even being a larger boy myself, I can say it's definitely not healthy. But
both in that same boat. However, first of all, it's a choice. If you want to be fat, you have every right to be there. Same with smoking. You have every right to choose to do that.
But we shouldn't normalize it like what the media is doing now.
Celebrating it, yeah. Obviously, we don't want to shame them, but we don't want to glorify either. So, obviously, like, if you're going to be disrespectful to someone, well, you're going to get punished for it. However, we're not going to turn around and say, you know, you're the greatest creature on the planet.
You're not a hero for avoiding to go to the gym and eating some cat instead, you know, like...
But
too far?
No, 100% not too far. But the bulk of this topic, the bulk of the topic on this podcast is going to be climate change. That's what we are going to dive into, like the nitty gritties, the fine details.
First things first, I think we should have nuclear power.
Agreed.
Hot take.
Yeah. Yep. I think you know, Russia and Ukraine have been kind of battling over Chernobyl, and I think we need to have our own here in Australia. Just our own elephant's foot. It's not fair. Think of how much tourism that brings in for.
What do you think we'd call it? The Kwinana disaster? Oh wait, no, they've already had one.
Where would you put it? Where would you put a nuclear power plant in Australia?
Probably not in the middle where the desert is.
Why not?
You want to keep water there instead of evaporating?
It's already dry. Who cares? What we could do is we could have two pipes, one coming from, like, both of them coming from the coast, South Australia. So one sucks water in. In fact, no, one goes to Northern Territory and one goes to South Australia, and we suck water in and pump the radioactive sludge out.
No, I was thinking the power plant's actually just powering the water pumps to get the water in and out, and nothing else, because there's no reserve. I think that's...
It's enough to power like a 5-volt LED globe or something. That's it.
your little 12-volt test light.
Town center of Alice Springs. All they've got is just one little 5-volt. That's all the nuclear power plant's for.
I was going to say, who's really in Alice Springs, though?
There's a few people.
It's like 4 or 5.
That's what I thought. Have you ever been there?
No.
Well, when I went there, I mean, it was crazy hot, but funny enough, there's actually quite a few people there. And if you hit any of them up and be like, hey, what's the most fun thing to do here? They kind of just grizzle at you and they're like, nothing. Why are you even here?
Wake up in the morning. That's the most exciting thing. Made it through another night.
You're like, why bother? Why bother? But anyway, climate change. Where do you stand on climate change?
Oh, that's too broad of a question.
All right.
Let's narrow it down a bit.
All right. So if I was to narrow this question down,
okay.
Obviously the climate does change.
Yes.
We are aware of that. Do you believe that we are directly contributing to climate change?
Oh, it's hard to say that we're not making an impact on it.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a carbon footprint in itself that's raising temperatures, or it's just the fact that we're land clearing, which is then changing up the actual landscape, which is affecting the climate in that way. I think there's a lot of evidence to say that we have made an impact on it, but I don't know. I've not done enough research to know to what extent that we've actually damaged it, per se.
Okay, because my thoughts on climate change are more or less we have an environmental impact, but
yes.
In regards to climate change, I don't think we have any influence on that whatsoever. We've only been recording weather for what, the last. I'll be generous. I'll be like I'll actually be over generous with this estimate, but I'd say 1,000 years. Now, if we go the age of the Earth, the age of our solar system, the age of the universe, you know, our existence as human beings is a blip.
Well, we already know that throughout like prehistoric times, so like you got your Jurassic Age and all those different things, there were multiple different weather patterns. There were some where, for example, you got the Ice Age where the entire thing froze over.
Yeah.
For example, that led to massive volcanic cloud and ash being pumped into the atmosphere, which then caused a lot of freezing over because obviously the sun can't penetrate and there's no warmth. But then it's also gone the other way where it's cleared up too much.
And obviously that's what causes all these floods, which, funny enough, is quite heavily linked to a lot of religious texts, where they talk about all these great floods, and it's not just Christianity that mentions this.
Yes.
Many religions talk about a massive flood, which would indicate effectively a global warming or climate change event.
Yeah.
So I guess my views on it are kind of like how the moon controls the tides. And then the rotation around the sun and the Earth tilting on the axis, that's obviously assuming that the Earth is round, which for this podcast, we will just stick with that. We'll leave flat Earth for a different discussion, because it is amusing. And
what do you mean the world is flat?
Exactly, but for the purpose of this,
we're just shooting up really fast, and that's what gravity is.
But
if there's any flat earthers listening, I don't mean to be rude to you, but you are wrong. So please take that as you will.
Take that as you will. No offense, but you suck.
No offense, but you're wrong.
No offense, but fuck you.
Hey, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
So, going further into climate change, let's just say that we do have the impact, and it's all on us. Like, we are going to dictate the next ice age, or I don't know, we're going to cause all the oceans to become evaporated and stuff like that. Some of the topics that they go on that we need to change, I find quite interesting.
Such as?
Like cattle.
Cattle?
Cattle being one of the major causes of, what is it, carbon CO2 emissions.
Yes.
Which I find quite funny. I don't...
Because it's actually quite opposite to that.
Yeah.
Realistically.
Because I jumped online and I was looking it up and I was like, okay, which countries are the biggest contributors? Standing in at number 1 was the US, Northern America. They were the number 1 at 24.5% contribution if it's going like off just all the countries. Coming in second is China at 13.9, Russia 6.8. So you can see the drop is quite large.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's just say we're going off this as factual. Our obvious answer is get rid of the US. Straight away, we clear up 24.5. Like, that's a full quarter of carbon emissions. And we can't just get rid of the country. Get rid of the people.
You hear that? Yeah. For you Americans listening, it's nothing personal.
Could you imagine that? Because obviously America are the ones that kind of police the rest of the world like a crooked cop. How are they going to cope being told, "Hey, you're the largest contributor. You gotta deal with that"?
How does a kid react when you take the lollipop off them, telling them they've had too much sugar?
Exactly. They'll just start stomping around. It's not me. But if we start working our way down this list, we start getting down to like India. And what number is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7th in the list is 2.3%. And then we go all the way down to 15th, which is Iran at 1.1%. 1.1% is very, very little. And I was like, wow, okay, so Australia must be like way, way, way down there. Like it's not even in the top 15. And at 1.1, it means we're less than 1%, most likely. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, well, let's look up who the largest exporter of cattle is. Australia is number 3. Did you know that?
Yeah. Yes.
Australia is number 3 for cattle export.
Australia is the biggest exporter of camels.
Well, I've never heard any of the lefties going on about camels. Flatulence.
Yeah.
Maybe camels just don't fart.
Nah. They're
they spit, which
they're like supreme leaders.
Which I guess could contribute to more water on the planet. Yeah.
Possible. Hey, microbial life, you know? Like they're creating life.
Whereas them damn cows, they're just farting the life away.
The cows taste good, so.
Yeah, that's why we leave them. Yeah. I've actually never tasted camel.
I can't say I've tasted camel either.
Would you?
It's not. I'd give it a go.
You would, wouldn't you? You'd have to.
I mean, I was never keen to try kangaroo, but then I was pleasantly surprised. So,
depending on how it's cooked, really.
Even venison, I wasn't too keen on that either, but I tried that once. That's not bad either.
Venison. I think I've had venison.
Yeah. Some fancy restaurants have it, and like those tapas bars, they'll have a little bit on the side, you know.
Just a little sniffed.
Yeah. I mean, we don't exactly have a lot of it here, so they just give it to you in like little pebbles and go, "Here, have a go."
Yeah. Pebbles. Have a pebble of venison.
Exactly.
Do you reckon we could get that to become an actual unit of measurement?
A pebble. Yeah, we'd have to get real scientific, you know.
So, would you like some cake? Yes. How much would you like? Just a pebble.
Oh, just a pebble, my friend.
Just a pebble. So, according to the statistics that I've kind of just read out, Australia being less than 1.1% contributor to
CO2 emission.
Yes, that's it. You know, and being the third largest exporter of cattle and the biggest exporter of camels.
Yep.
And I don't know what the export is on sheep. Do you know?
Sheps.
Hey?
The sheps.
The sheps, yeah. We're pretty high up in that as well. So, farm animals, largish animals with a lot of flatulence that need quite a lot of space, we are pretty good at. Yet, our existence in the climate change world is nothing. Nothing. which to me kind of debunks the whole cattle being an issue. But did you also hear a CNN news report was talking about people getting rid of their pets? Did you see that?
No.
No.
What was this all about?
It was saying that pets also contribute to climate change. So we shouldn't be having pets, and we should swap to a more eco-friendly pet, like a turtle or a snake or a lizard.
You know what? I'll just go down to the good guys and I'll get myself a robot vacuum. You know, electricity, no emissions at all, except for the coal mines. But, you know.
And soon to be nuclear power. That's going to...
Hey, nuclear power is fine. It's the coal mines you want shut down.
That's the whole lot. Shut everything down.
I mean, nuclear power is just so much better than coal.
I think wind. If they're going on about all these cows that are farting,
I was going to say,
if they line them all up and put a whole heap of wind, like small wind turbines behind them, all those farts would just cause the fans to spin. Yeah,
probably. I was just thinking, if we put a fan behind you, we could power all of Perth. You get me involved. That's all of WA. Sussed.
I think we're going to solve climate change in a single session.
In this discussion, yeah. Sussed. Oh, and then when you need to go to the toilet, you've got yourself a water turbine as well. Done. There's zero loss in time.
But that would only be first thing in the morning. Like, I don't have a massive pee during the day. It's usually like I'll pee frequently during the day, but like the really big one is the mornings. Do you get that?
The morning, and usually straight after dinner.
Straight after you've had dinner, you go for a monster pee.
Yeah.
Far out.
Drink a crap load of water leading up to it.
Oh. Okay, so that's your routine. You just guzzle water before dinner.
Yeah, because I make up for my day of not drinking water.
I haven't drank at all day. I am super dry. What do?
Yeah.
I now pack in like 6 liters all at once.
Yep.
Nice.
Hey, I'm still getting my whatever liters a day, just all in one hit.
You know what? I might have to try that. I normally drink heaps during the day. So maybe that's where I'm going wrong.
No, I definitely drink a lot during the day, but physical labor jobs, I tend to sweat it out instead of piss it out, you know?
Fair enough. More on climate change. Have you heard any of the crazy stories?
I've heard many crazy stories. You're going to need to be specific.
How do you feel about eating insects?
No.
No?
No. There's no need.
I'm not saying that there's no need. I'm just saying, would you?
How many people in history have you heard of that just sit there and mung out on a cockroach, or just grab some, caterpillars and just send it? I mean, you've got the indigenous Australians that will have like the widgety grubs and stuff like that. Like that is part of the history and whatever. But like, there's not many people that just sit there and mung out on a cockroach or a ladybug.
Try saying that. Try saying that to the Chinese.
Yeah, sitting there grabbing flies out of the air, just midday snack. Yeah, this guy. Nah.
I know that there's a few countries that eat tarantulas.
Aren't tarantulas more like dogs than they are bugs? Like, it's a bit different. No, but I'm pretty sure tarantulas are actually like more like crustaceans than they are like insects.
I suppose they would have a bit more meat on them, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how most of those bigger spiders work.
But when I was looking into eating bugs and that sort of stuff, funny enough, there's already a few places that have started implementing it, and the worst one I've seen so far was a school in the UK that were feeding the kids mealworms as part of the lunches.
Yuck.
I know, right? But then when you start researching into it, and like some of the insects like crickets and that sort of stuff, they contain chitin, chitin. So many different ways to pronounce it, and nobody seems to know it accurately. So yeah, whatever it actually is, I'm pretty sure it's chitin. But the fact that it starts with the CHs.
Armor in Skyrim, I know that much.
It's a fantastic form of armor in Ark.
How the games differ these days?
Maybe not fantastic. Maybe I kind of over-exaggerated that. It's better than...
It's mediocre at best.
Yeah, it's better than the garbage you get before that.
Obviously, it's better than running around naked.
Yes, correct. Although I would say that realistically, running around naked, you'd probably be a little bit faster. And if not faster, you will become faster if you're easily embarrassed.
True. Adrenaline's a hell of a thing.
Exactly. So if you don't want anybody to see your bits and bobs, you're definitely going to move quick, aren't you?
Yeah. Unless you have enough pride and you can go, hey world,
check out my ding dong. Check out my dong. Unless you are female, then it's check out my McMuffin.
Actually, funny joke for you. So you know how like a bunch of dudes in a room's called a sausage party?
Yeah.
I found out that a bunch of women is a clamboree.
Clamboree. That's the plural.
Yeah.
Oh, women. A clamboree.
Just to throw it out there, you know.
First episode of the podcast cancelled.
First episode cancelled. I love it.
The clamboree is what's gonna is the nail in the coffin, I think, for us.
Yeah.
Let's steer this back to something a little bit more suitable. Like have you heard of the what are they calling it, like 20-minute cities or 15-minute cities? Have you heard of this?
I've vaguely heard the term, but I don't know what it is.
Funny enough, I've looked into it. The 15. I know, right? I've been reading.
You read? No.
Turns out I'm not dyslexic.
Well, maybe you are. You just
don't know it. I just haven't told myself.
You've actually just been not reading the right words. that would make
making
sense.
it up as I go. But
that would make sense because I didn't think dogs could talk.
Since when? But anyway, so these 15-minute cities, what they're after doing is they've already done it, I think, in Oxford in the UK. Funny enough, the UK seems to be ahead in all this really weird stuff, like feeding kids mealworms and segregating people, and I don't know. They're probably doing a whole heap of other weird things. The English, they do that sort of stuff. But
them Brits, I tell you.
But so a 15-minute city is they'll take a city like, say, Perth, for example. They're already doing it in Oxford, but I don't know Oxford at all, so, bugger them. But they divide it into, say, 6 sectors. And within each of those sectors, you've got everything you need.
Yeah.
So you have a gym, you have a shopping center, you'll have, everything, a McDonald's, everything.
Because we need McDonald's, yep.
Of course. Can't go anywhere without a McDonald's. If humans ever get to Mars, that's the first building that will go up. 100%. 100%.
Yeah. And then it will be a Burger King.
Oh, I think Burger King will probably take a little while. McDonald's, 100%. Then it will be like a research station.
Oh, nah. No, don't you shit on them KFCs. They get up pretty quick.
They do, funny enough. Like, they're...
As soon as there's like McDonald's knows that there's a bit of market there, KFC's bang straight in there.
They are, aren't they? Slimy KFC. But anyway, so these 15 or 20-minute cities, the way it works is you can only stay within that region. You can go to other sectors of the city. I think it's 100 times a year you can go to different sectors.
Why?
Because it's trying to lower carbon emissions from cars.
What if you just got on your bike and pedaled there? Does that count?
Well, the idea is that you're not supposed to kind of like, you should have everything you need within a certain distance of you.
But what if your mate's just down the road, but then he's over the border?
Then that's where it starts to become, a bit tricky. So, but you can't cross the borders within the city. You have to go on the outskirts and go around. So it'll be a big loop around, and that's then where you can gain entry.
That just sounds counterintuitive, if you ask me.
Well, the idea is to make it a big deal for you to go to visit somebody in a different sector, so you just kind of not bother. You get what I mean? Like, they don't want you to do it, so they make it hard for you to go to a different sector, so you just kind of give up.
It sounds like it's one of those things that in theory that's how it should work, but in practice, who the hell's gonna listen?
It would be enforced.
Yeah, but you're gonna have some like group of 12-year-olds that are gonna run down the street and cross the borders. What are they gonna do? Send like 50-odd police officers after each individual kid?
No, I don't think they'll do something like that, but they might, get notify their parents or something like that.
I just don't see a lot of the parents actually caring.
Yeah, they don't mention anything in regards to punishments, but funny enough, they've started talking about implementing it here in Australia, in Melbourne.
Yeah,
like if you look up the official government website of Melbourne, I honestly can't remember what it's called. See if I can actually bring it up. 20-minute city, Melbourne. You can always tell that somebody's not. Melbourne, 20-minute neighborhoods. That's it. 20-minute neighborhoods. This is legit. The website is legit. www.planmelbourne.vic.gov.au/. because it's not a backslash. Funny enough, we always have to say forward. Current projects / 20-minute neighborhoods. Legit.
I'm not typing that out.
No. Like, I just Googled 20-minute city, Melbourne. But so it's saying that the 20-minute neighborhood is all about living locally, giving people the ability to meet most of their daily needs within a 20-minute walk from home, with safe cycling and local transport options. So the idea, like I was saying, is to lower people from using their cars. And all of this would be okay if presented by somebody else. You know? Like, I don't have anything against Harry and Meghan per se. But when you hear Harry going on about climate change and we need to lower our carbon footprint and stuff like that, and I'm like, dude, you have a private jet. You're racing all over the world in a private jet, whereas I'm lucky to rack up 5,000 kilometers in my car in a year. Yeah, I'm actually using my car even less now because I'm just taking the bus to the train station up to work.
Now, you see, I have another issue with it. What if you go into another zone to see your friend, right? You've gone there, you've done your business, whatever that is. You come back, right? You realize you've left your wallet. You got to go back there. Is that 2 of your X-fills that you can have a year taken up?
X-fill.
Is that 2 taken up in that one day?
I have no idea.
Like, that just sounds like a massive piss take. And if that is the way it's gonna be, can I just rack up my 100 a year in like 3 days?
It
just going back and forth of the border.
This
U-turn. Like.
It seems a little bit crazy.
It does.
The whole thing just doesn't seem right. But it doesn't actually go into punishments. That's the thing. It doesn't say, like, if you do it, you know, you're gonna cop a massive fine or you're gonna go to prison. But remember, during COVID, all the
zone borders, yeah.
No, the powers they gave the COVID officers. Do you remember those?
Nope. I never had to cross any of those borders, so I just
No, it wasn't just borders. A COVID officer, if needed, could kick you out of your home or your car, whatever they chose, as part of the crisis. Like, say they needed a quick setup COVID center, clinic, whatever. They could just walk up and just like, hey, get out. And if you said no, they'd just go, all right, I'm calling the cops. And the cops come up and just drag you out of your house and be like,
the cops would rock up and there's a COVID bloke on the floor, beaten and bloody on the floor.
Well, then you just get shot.
Touch my house, faggot.
It does make you a little bit frustrated when you're hearing all this stuff. And the people who are saying it, to me, that's the biggest issue. Like, if some guy sailed from Switzerland to Western Australia, grabbed out his push bike and rode it to the convention center, and then told everybody, we need to lower our plastic waste going into the environment. We need to be more vigilant about what mess or what man-made products we're putting into the environment. You know, battery acids and oil spills and this, that, and the other. We need to be more vigilant on that stuff. I'd be like, okay, you know what? You have every right to preach to me about that because, first of all, the method in which you got here was minimal impact.
Wait, so you're not meant to dispose of your used car batteries in the ocean?
No, that's where you're supposed to put them. I'm saying some people put them somewhere silly, like a battery recycling plant.
Okay, yeah.
You know, that's just terrible for the environment.
Why would you recycle batteries?
No, once they're dead, they're dead. Yeah, when they're dead, they're dead. Just Job done.
Weird, huh?
I know. These, honestly, some people, they just don't think. But
The ocean's big enough for a couple of batteries. Come on.
yeah. Easily. Who knows? They say dolphins are very, very clever.
Yeah, they could probably recycle them and use them for their dolphin technology.
Dolphin technology. What would dolphin technology look like?
I don't know. There'd probably be a lot of flippers and stuff. To be fair, I think it'd be really hard to make electronics under the water.
I
think short circuiting might be a small issue.
Maybe.
And same with like forging and stuff. I don't think you can light fires under the ocean either. You know?
Not with that attitude.
I can't fault your logic there. I'll give you that.
But yeah, this whole thing just seems to be like a strong push when you kind of consider that there is minimal difference that we could make. The Earth is hurtling through space at speeds we can't make anything go.
Yeah. Well, there's another thing that I'm kind of interested with this whole idea of the 15-20 minute cities, whatever you call them. What if you say, for example, I'm a panel beater spray painter. Are they going to have a panel beater in every single zone?
Yes.
What? So they're going to have a panel beater
yeah,
in every
actually,
zone?
that would...
Have, Boilermakers, fabricators in every zone? Are they going to have cabinet makers in every zone? Like, are they going to have every trade in every zone everywhere? Like,
no, because remember, the idea is to be able to walk. So that's a great big fat no to being trade.
If the nearest smash repairer is like 4 zones up, you're not exactly going to walk there. And 2, you've got to get your car there in the first place to get it repaired. Like, does that use up your zone mileage per year as well, getting your car fixed because someone else hit you?
I don't have the answer, but I would say that yes.
A lot of these are rhetorical, but like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of...
It probably would count towards, your external visit.
And then at the same time, it comes to, say, Christmas time. You've used up all of your 100 for the year. Are you then going to get penalized for going over the 100 because now you need to get your car repaired? Do you need to wait till the next year when it refreshes? Like, what's the...
It would be more a case you'd probably be able to apply for a special exemption, that you need to get your car to this place and this, that, and the other, and they'll go, okay, yeah, sweet, not a problem. I can't imagine that they'll be too nasty on it. I don't think that... Yes, this definitely sounds like tyrannical government stuff, but I don't think that they're going to be like dictator nth level, like there is no flex to this.
This is honestly making me think of Hunger Games, so I'm going to be completely honest. How you got the different zones and you got to stay in your zone.
I know, right? This zone gets to eat meat. This zone eats bugs.
This zone eats used car tires.
Only.
This zone eats our car batteries. They're the lucky ones. They get a drink with their lead.
Well, I don't know. If you leave the tires outside and the rain will, collect inside them. That really dank, stanky, horrid...
Yeah. But then you've got
rain collection.
Rain doesn't come every day,
That's
whereas
right.
It's all in case.
It depends on how many tires you've got. If we're talking like just all the tires, all the used tires that are discarded in Australia go to this one section. Then you're gonna have a massive pile. So it only needs to rain once, and there you've got a monstrous collection of water.
True.
But yeah, the whole thing just sounds unnerving. And to me, it's because we've just got bad leadership across the board. Like, it's not just Australia. We've got bad leadership all over the world. Because obviously the economy is not doing very, very great after COVID. And now bringing in all this, you know, like 20-minute cities and this and the other, it's kind of like, why? And then constantly badgering on about climate change. Like, they're doing it like when you turn on the news and you're like, oh, crisis, there's more flooding in Queensland. And you're like, how's this a crisis? This happens like every week.
Yeah, like it.
I was talking to someone the other day about it because we saw something on like TikTok or something like that. And they were saying that there was a city in America or state. I don't know exactly, but I think it's a city. And they get these horrific storms, like absolutely horrific storms, but it happens every, say, once every decade, maybe even a little bit longer. And people forget how bad their last storm was or don't know about the last storm, and they move to the area. And then all of a sudden, you know, they get ravaged by these monstrous storms. That I can understand, because nobody looks at the weather history of that area before they move to it. They just kind of go there for a visit and they go, oh, wow, this place is really cool. I'd love to live here. And then they go back again on another holiday and it's just as nice. But in Queensland, you can't have the same excuse because it is constantly...
Oh, it's every year.
It's either on fire or it's flooded.
It's on fire until it floods.
Yeah, it's one of the two. And it's constant. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? Like, how is this a climate issue when it's been happening for years? Like, just years.
Yeah.
That's just Queensland.
Not just that's happening for years. It's every year like clockwork.
Even if there was a complete ice age, I think Queensland would still have bushfires and flooding. It would just be constant. So, but yeah, this whole 20-minute city, eating bugs, get rid of your pets. Apparently, in the article, it was even saying, let's see if I can find it. It was on CNN. CNN, because that's super. Starve Pets. Is it Starve Pets? Yeah, here it is. Again, this is the legit. This is the legit. I'm going to send this to you so you can kind of read along with me.
Okay.
There you go. I sent it to you in Discord. But let me know once you've got it.
Yeah, I'm on here.
So you can see it's the legit CNN website.
Yep.
And our pets are part of the climate problem. That is the title.
Yeah.
These tips help you minimize their carbon paw prints.
Oh yeah, you got to sneak that A++ S tier jokes in there.
I know, right? Their carbon paw print. Because I love pets, but strangle them. Our four-legged friends don't drive gas-guzzling SUVs or use energy-sucking appliances, but that doesn't mean they don't have a climate impact. In fact, researchers have showed that pets play a significant role in climate crisis. You can put literally researchers have showed in just about anything. Like you could literally put researchers have showed that you're a homo. You could legitimately have a psychiatrist speak to somebody. All right, let's just say like somebody with schizophrenia. Researchers have shown that you are nuts. You could put it in anything. Like researchers have shown anything. You know? How is that a genuine statement? You'd have to say citing these research studies rather than just saying researchers have showed. I'm going to start making up my own bollocks and just say researchers have showed. And if you say which researchers, I go me.
According to Google, 73% of all statistics are made up. So who's to say that our dogs...
Is that legit?
There's a lot. 73.6. Some saying as low as 37, 73.6, 80%. Yeah.
73% of researchers have shown is bollocks and a piss take. But anyway, reading it on further, it's saying Professor of Sustainable Development Pim Martins. Who the hell is Pim Martins? What kind of name is Pim Martins? PimMartins.com.
Is it just Hank Pym?
Planetary Health. Pim Martins has a PhD in applied mathematics and biological sciences. Applied mathematics. That has nothing to do with
3 cats.
That has nothing to do with animal farts.
No, he's a mathematician. He adds up how many farts they get out every year.
Oh, God. You could honestly get anybody to say anything. And to be fair, has a PhD in applied mathematics and biological sciences. This person doesn't get laid. 100%.
No, this guy spent too much time at school.
Images is Pim Martins, 100% doesn't get laid. 100%. Funny enough, I just went images for Pim Martins, and there's more pictures of Doc Martens than Pim.
Hey, let's be honest though. How cool would it be if you walked down the street and you just saw a whole bunch of people walking their damn turtle? You got like a turtle on a leash. Like, come on, boy, hurry up.
Like a snapping turtle. It's like any other dog that comes up to it just gets wrecked. So funny enough, Professor Pim Martins has a PhD, which would be a doctorate. It's Dr. Martin.
Yeah.
This dude's a shoe. He doesn't exist.
This man is a shoe.
There we go. Researchers have shown that Dr. Pim Martin
is a shoe.
Is a shoe. Therefore cannot make a logical argument.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
So anyway, that's our take on climate change. As you can see, we're not 100% in the thinking that we believe we're acknowledging that the climate changes, but it's supposed to do that. You know, like if you watch David Attenborough's series Africa, I can't remember when that came out. It was a number of years ago now, but it was saying that the Amazon has a massive impact on the Sahara Desert, or it's the other way around. I can't remember 100%, but you know, like just on a global scale, they all affect each other, and all it's going to.
That's what I was saying earlier on. Is we probably have made an impact in terms of land clearing and doing things like that, because you're talking zones like what you're saying, the desert and the rainforest do affect each other. But then land clearing or establishing cities and all that sort of stuff would get in the way of naturally cycling climate, which is where I say, yes, we have made an impact on climate.
Yes, but I don't think it's enough. You know, like it's the whole concept of nature always finds a way. You know, like we turn around and go, oh yes, all these cities that have been overtaken and blah 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 blah. If a city is left completely unmaintained, the regrowth, it comes back pretty quick. Like it ain't slow. So,
but the thing we can agree on though is to shut down coal plants, because coal mining is a very dangerous job.
Yes,
and most of it is imported from countries where they have less than adequate protective equipment.
That would lead, if we were wanting to do anything about climate change, we should be ignoring the commoners like us, the peasants of the world, should I say, and focus more on corporations like, like Apple and Samsung and that sort of stuff, because you follow the trail of how they get all their components, and you can trace it all the way to like slave labor and things like that in all these like lithium mines and that sort of carry on, and you're like, that's where we should be putting our focus. And plastic in the ocean and mistreatment of the environment and it's the animals within it and that sort of stuff, that's where we should be putting our focus. And a good portion of that is corporations. It's not us. Like,
it's like what Jordan Peterson was saying. I don't know if I'm probably going to butcher what he said.
Yeah, you are, but I am all ears. Let's go.
If you're listening, Jordan, I'm sorry. But he was saying something about if you want to have a more sustainable future, you need to bring down the lowest forms of poverty back up to the middle class. Because the people that are living in true poverty aren't thinking about 5, 10, 15 years from now. They're thinking about what's for dinner tonight. They're thinking about how am I going to feed my family?
Yep, 100%.
So they're not going to have that forward thinking of, we should be looking after the areas that we live in. No, they're too focused on
being poor.
You could put it that way. But they're too focused on trying to live their life day by day, as opposed to how they're going to set their family up in the future, how they're going to make their farm land more lush and sustainable.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Of course, yeah, 100%. I would say that you didn't really butcher it, but yeah, I think bringing up the benchmark of poverty, it would be a knock-on effect to every aspect. Like, phone prices are the way they are because of the slave labor. Yeah. So if they actually cared and gave everybody the fair treatment, which I 100% agree they should, even if we get hit harder in the wallet, I think it would work out better off, because you'd be less inclined to just upgrade your phone. You'd actually look after it if you had to spend more to get one.
Yeah.
It becomes very much a luxury item, and you actually take good care of it, and you aim to have it last as long as possible. But then, like you were saying, you start to reduce, or not abolish, but getting rid of that bare poverty mark. Like, poverty shouldn't exist in a first world country. I think that should be the definition of a first world country. It should be, there is no poverty.
I mean, ideally, there shouldn't be poverty anywhere, but I think we're a long way from ever achieving something like that.
Well, I don't think so. I think if enough people band together and start slamming big companies by going, right, we want to know where your materials are coming from. We want you to prove that there's no slave labor, no mistreatment of human beings throughout the entire process of your company. And I think they should be held accountable to that. I think if we put the pressure on, and even to governments to lean towards these companies, so like, how there's always like these tax cuts for all their friends and this, that, and the other. They go, okay, well, we will give you a tax cut if you can prove that nobody is mistreated or exploited in the process of you delivering this product to here, to the people, and you will get a tax cut. If not, we hike your tax. If you're going to use slave labor, we're going to charge it through the nose.
Like, they should be incentivized for like philanthropy and giving back to the people that work for them.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Exactly.
So like, reduce the amount of tax Apple's paying, but that's if they give so much of their profit back to the the cobalt and lithium mines overseas.
100%. 100%.
You go, instead of giving us the tax, you give them the money, which you would pay us, because we all pretty much know Apple doesn't really pay tax.
Well, we can't say that, can we? Apple definitely pay all their tax.
100% of their tax. They don't do anything to cop out and not pay the whole amount.
Apple are never dodgy.
Yeah.
All right. And, well, I mean, I think that was a really good discussion. I think we've done well for the first episode. But what we'll do is we're going to wrap up with some random facts. Have you managed to find any random facts there, Penguin?
I might have a couple laying around.
I've got some. Did you know that rubber bands will last much longer when they are refrigerated?
Well, there you go.
Did you know that?
I did not.
Did you know that April 11th, 1954 was recorded as the most boring day in the world?
No, I did not know.
I don't know how they got to that point. Did you know a jiffy is a proper unit of time?
I have heard that before, actually.
So when people say I'll be there in a jiffy, it is an actual unit of time. Did you know this one baffled me? This one really baffled me because it makes zero sense. Did you know sign language has tongue twisters?
How would it be a tongue twister? Wouldn't it be a finger twister?
Yes, it would. I think because you must be saying the words in your head. You know what I mean?
Mm.
There must be something going on in your head where you're able to represent each one. So,
right.
Even though you're not necessarily signing it.
Yeah. True. Still having a hard time trying to think about that, but I got one for you.
Go on then.
This one's quite a thought-provoking one, and I think this one's actually quite an interesting one. Did you know that Antarctica was actually mapped out in 1531? And Antarctica wasn't truly discovered until 1820.
So it was mapped.
And the first map of the world actually had Antarctica drawn out on it in 1531. Nearly 300 years before it was actually discovered, and it was drawn with a significant amount of accuracy.
It was drawn with a significant number of accuracy in 1541.
Yeah, 1531.
1531. Wow.
But it wasn't actually properly discovered until 1820.
So that would mean that the technical term for discovered must be landed.
Must be.
You know, like stepped foot on.
But then, when you think about it, how would they have been able to draw it in 1531 if they'd never landed?
Oh, that's a tricky one. It must have been while they're sailing along it. They're taking note of all the ridges coming out and going in.
Potentially.
That's all it could be. So they didn't actually step foot.
Well,
they just sailed around it.
Hat.
That's insane.
If you want to put on your tinfoil hat for a minute, they believe that humans were far more advanced a long time ago than we really thought.
Funny enough, I've heard that.
How do you think they built the pyramids?
Slaves.
No. When you actually... I can't remember what it was.
The death of a lot of Jews.
Yes. But apparently, the northern point of the pyramid is within like 1 or 2 degrees off of being true north. And like the outer perimeter of the base of the pyramid, when you times it by a certain amount, it creates the equator, so the east-west line. But then you multiply the base to the tip by the same number, it gives you the north-south radius of the planet within a small margin of error. It's honestly quite wild. Either they completely fluked it and that was extremely lucky, or people were much smarter and much more sophisticated than we thought.
So what you're saying,
aliens,
is Egypt adopted the 20-minute neighborhoods and they believed all the climate change garbage that the media was spouting out. And their society collapsed. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I bet they even also allowed women to vote. Just threw that one in there because I know I'm gonna stir someone up.
That can of worms that you shouldn't have opened, but I guess we're gonna leave that here then.
Did you know that putting sugar on a cut will make it heal faster?
But it will sting more than salt.
Did you know?
I did.
Did you know that all clocks in Pulp Fiction are set to 420?
Hey, blaze it. You know what? I actually haven't watched Pulp Fiction. I've watched up to the burger bit, but I haven't actually watched the full movie because I got pulled out of the room when I got to that bit. But I do want to see that movie.
Pulled out of the room by who?
I can't remember. It was when I was living with a couple of friends and somebody rocked up and then we went to go work on cars or something. You know, usual teenager shit.
All right, you ready for some more? I got quite a few. Did you know that Japan has 23 vending machines per person?
That's believable, but I didn't know that.
When I read that, I just thought Japan have like used panties in vending machines, don't they?
You can do your entire food shopping through vending machines. All your like fresh fruit and veg, meat, everything.
Wow.
You can buy a car from a vending machine. It's like you go to it's like an elevated car parking space type thing, but it's on this massive like rotating cylinder thing, and you can like punch in the car that you want. You pay for it there and then the car like rolls out.
What?
I'm pretty sure that's a thing.
I don't need to look that up. That's nuts. Anyway, did you know? Oh.
Did you know in 2016 Mozart sold more CDs than Beyonce?
Really?
Apparently.
Wow. It must have just been someone really rich buying a heap of them.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, good on you, Mozart.
Either that or Beyonce's really gone downhill.
No, I think 2016.
Look at her record sales. It's like she sold 6 copies. Mozart sold 7.
7.5.
Because sanity's going downhill. Well, did you know that buttermilk does not contain any butter?
Really? I didn't know you could milk. I didn't think you could milk butter, and vice versa. Did you know riding a roller coaster can help you pass kidney stones?
I did hear that somewhere. It can also help you pass a turd.
It could.
And it can also kill you. The suicide coaster. Have you seen that?
No. Yeah, I've heard of it.
I can't remember exactly what it's called. I think it's like the euthanasia coaster or something like that. But it's got like just a series of loops, and these loops start off from really big and they just get smaller and smaller and smaller, so that by the time you go up the very first one, you gain a lot of momentum when you start to pass through the smaller ones. So each one just gets smaller and smaller. So the G-forces start to become so intense that you just black out and die. I can't remember exactly how many loops it is. It's like 5, maybe.
That sounds like fun. Let's go tomorrow.
Let's do it. Why not? Climate change, here we go.
You can't use the S word on YouTube anymore. You got to use the unalive coaster.
Ah. I said euthanasia. Is that allowed?
I think that's TOS.
What if we said squidicide?
Silverside?
Silverside? Okay, so yeah, Silverside. The Silverside coaster.
Yeah.
But did you know that there are 293 ways to make change for a US dollar?
Well, there you go.
And my last one. Did you know that X-rays can't detect real diamonds?
I wonder why that is.
No idea. I didn't actually look into any of the facts. It said underneath them as to why and how and, you know, all the garbage that went along with it, but I was just like, nah, I don't need to know that.
Well, there you go.
But,
well,
yeah.
One last one. Did you know slinkies are 82 feet long, which for us Australians is 25 meters?
Wow. A standard slinky.
Yeah.
A standard slinky is 25 meters long.
Yep. You straighten it out.
Wow. That's, I did not know that.
It's rather impressive.
It is quite impressive. We should verify that. I just want to get a slinky now.
So do I. You know what? You know what? When I was a kid, and you play with slinkies, and you just sat there and you like spun it around and got really wild with it, and then it got tangled. You get bored of it. Apparently, there's like all these different tricks and stuff you can do with them. Like people start doing like these weird like double helix, fucking twirly twirlies, and they just
the whirly durly.
Yeah, the whirly durly. Yeah, and they just start spinning around and they like and do these fancy tricks. It actually looks hectic.
Wow. Okay. That is nuts.
There's actually like a whole. It's kind of like a yo-yo and all that sort of stuff. There's like these weird things you can do with them.
Wow. I definitely did not know that. I thought Slinky was just kind of like obviously just something that you kind of just mucked around with, and then what's his name? Jim Carrey made it super popular in Ace Ventura.
He did make it very popular.
He did, didn't he? I thought it was just his level of fame just kept the Slinky around. But no, it turns out you can do tricks with it. I suppose you could. You could do tricks with anything. But
yeah,
I think that's going to wrap up our very first episode. I think
so.
I think we did well.
I think so too.
I think we've solved climate change.
I mean, if anybody has any suggestions for what we should talk about next,
yeah, put it in the comments.
Jump in the website Discord.
Yeah, either one. Yes,
we'll make a channel for that. You can start posting your shit ideas, and we'll
your horrible, terrible mutant-like ideas,
and we will chat shit about them,
and we will just badmouth you and make you feel bad for the horrible things you've done.
Make you reconsider your life.
So yeah, message us at your own leisure. Well, that's going to do it for this podcast. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Hope you've enjoyed. And like Penguin said, give us your ideas, give us your thoughts. And yeah,
if we're not PC enough for you, send it to Wet Socks email, because I'm not going to read it.
I'm desperate to read it.
I'm desperate to hear your hot takes.
Desperate. I've actually gotten into the habit, just before we completely finish this up, I've actually gotten into the habit. I'm calling it pigeoning.
Pigeoning.
That's what I'm calling it on TikTok. And it's where I just watch a video that has something like a somewhat controversial-ish topic, and I just go in there and the first thought that comes to my head, no matter how stupid it is, I just leave that in the comment section and then move on. I don't read what they respond. I get all these notifications say, oh, this person responded to your comment. I don't even read it. So whether they're upset with me or impressed by my comment, I don't even acknowledge that what they've said. So I just know that I've ruined a few people's day. And I don't even give them the respect of reading their comment back.
Yeah.
So I've called it pigeoning. You have to commit to not reading their response. Don't give them the satisfaction. But yeah, that's going to do it for this podcast.
This becomes a thing.
Episode 1 down, done. Good job. Till the next one. Take care. Peace.
Peace out.